and good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. This is brunch time with Mayegun live. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Dear brethren, please read the caption of the broadcast, the description as well. Like it, share it, invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. Tell them that Mayegun today, and it is brunch time with Mayegun. Remember, the brunch time is like the snippet into what is still to come, especially the catch up from last night, this morning until lunchtime, while we gather the comprehensive reports on the Nigeria and our system, the corrupt, rigged system, which continues to victimize our own citizens, supposedly. So, brethren, the title for this chart today is basically talking about Nigeria, the lawless country. It is a crooked lawyers, right? A place where we continue to ask, what exactly is the reason or motivation for studying law in a lawless country, in a place where their elite, the criminal, dirty, stinking elite, pretends to be above the law, or they are actually above the law, where the institutions that are supposed to uphold the law are always the willing tool in the hands of the highest bidder, the dirty, stinking, corrupt elites. Again, why is anyone studying law in a lawless country? The person that first asked this question is a lawyer himself, and that is Dele Farotimi, the man that described Nigeria as worse than a zoo. It's pretty much like a jungle. Well, he became a direct victim of that failed system yesterday, when one supposed senior lawyer started throwing tantrum after Babalola. He was throwing tantrum of his character that he felt was being liable against. After Babalola sent the criminal police after another lawyer, Dele Farotimi, who wrote a book against the Nigeria criminal justice system, and he called it Nigeria and its criminal justice system. A book that is now top seller, selling so fast that many Nigerians now want to see the contents of this book from yesterday. So this morning or this afternoon, depends on the time you are watching this, we are going to review what happened yesterday and then how it all went up to this moment when they took him to a court in Ekiti. And the court has denied Dele Farotimi bail. Typical, expectedly anyway, because the purpose is not actually to fight for his legal right. I'm talking about Afe Babalola, the old man, the old crook, a part and parcel of the rotten system in that contraption called Nigeria, whose ass got whipped by a younger lawyer, and he couldn't take it. He couldn't even let the law take his own course because he would rather flex his muzzle, the same muzzle that Dele Farotimi wrote about, which has completely compromised the supposed judicial system of Nigeria. Listen, Nigeria is a lawless country, no doubt. But those who actually makes that so are lawyers themselves, judges, the people that are supposed to know the law. They are the ones who continue to abuse it. And in this case, it has triggered reactions, not just from the Dele Farotimi's supporters, even Dele Farotimi's people who don't really agree with him as well, seems to have felt like, well, this is like a kill shot. Like, you know, if somebody defames you for any reason, what you have to do is to sue them. It is not to use the criminal police, who were more or less like kidnappers, to go and abduct someone. I mean, ignoring all the normal due process, okay? When we talk about due process, the due process of arresting someone, normally, even in that contraption, except when it concerns the other criminal elite who seems to have more connections, right? A former lawyer to the former, maybe I don't know if he's still lawyer though, but he's a lawyer to former president of Nigeria, a criminal man himself who made his money in a criminal way. And somebody is actually calling him out or challenging him that he even wrote a book about his criminality. So if you now felt offended, if you felt like you have been defamed as a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer. I believe that everyone knows this, right? If you feel like you have been defamed for any reason, as a lawyer, a senior one for that matter, what you will do is to use what you have to fight what you want. You use the same law to fight for that, won't you? But he knows it won't really work well that way if it doesn't really go the Gestapo style of flexing his muscle, throwing a tantrum. Babalola is part of the rot in Nigeria. He is a criminal himself. And this is on record. And Dele Farotimi, encountering him in a legal way, exposed Babalola's influence in the judicial system of Nigeria up to the Supreme Court level. And this is something that Babalola wouldn't want anyone to read about. He wouldn't want the younger generation to come later and read about how criminally he has been obtaining judgments, flexing his muscle, and then I'm twisting the judiciary. Now, if he felt libeled, because according to Dele Farotimi, he wrote a book about Babalola's criminality and many other stuff in the judicial and in the Nigerian judiciary. He mentioned their names, not just Babalola's name. There were other names too. However, the only old useless man, a greedy, selfish cunt that decided to use his own influence, the same influence that Dele Farotimi wrote about, right? He decided to use the police to harass him, okay? So from the onset, right, when Dele Farotimi was asked, what you put in this book, don't you think that some people are really, really going to get mad? He said, well, if anybody feels like his name is defamed, they know what to do. And what should they do? Sue me. You can even sue the publisher, which is the publisher. You can sue that the book should not be sold anywhere. There are court cases that you can initiate to, you can even sue him to oblivion and say, well, you know what? This your book is defaming me. What you went on TV to say about me is not true. And therefore, I am seeking the court redress to stop the further sale of that book, and then to also charge you, to charge you for defamation, okay? Now, the normal lawyers in Nigeria knows that. But because Nigerian law is not straightforward, it is a crooked country, populated by crooked people that could manipulate the same, the same law to oppress anyone they believe they are totally above and possibly shut you up or shut you down, so to say. So, yesterday, that's where we're going to start from today. Yesterday, a group of criminals called the police in Nigeria from Ekiti State, who were acting out of jurisdiction, their jurisdiction, they barged into Lagos State, another jurisdiction, where they effected the abduction of a lawyer from his office. His own staff were harassed on camera. They were harassed. Their personal belongings were stolen, right? However, the supposed police commander from that axis, they were never briefed. Normally, if you are going to another jurisdiction to effect an abduction, because an arrest, if it was an arrest, you would have first of all reported at the command, which in this instance is Zone 2 command or so in Lagos. So we are in Lagos State to effect an arrest. Then you would have to show the arrest warrant. In fact, you need to get that arrest warrant from a court. Then that will be after you have invited this individual and they refused your invitation. So that will be then you can now go on and go to the court, obtain an arrest warrant. You will present this arrest warrant to the command, like if you are leaving your own command to another area, you will present it to them and say, we are coming to effect an arrest here, just so you know, okay? Then afterward, you will approach the subject and then present your arrest warrants, and then arrest him. That should be the normal due process. But that is exactly not what happened in the case of Dele Farotimi. The lawless Nigerian police, the criminal Nigeria police, they went on their own normal Gestapo style. They invaded. Initially, they set up a trap of tracking him, you know, and when they couldn't really get him by luring him out, where they could kidnap him, when they couldn't get him, they decided, after finding out his office, they entered the Dele Farotimi's office, harassed his staff, and then in a process that is pretty much unbelievable. Now, here is the first part, which is the CCTV footage of the abduction, the kidnapping of Dele Farotimi from his office in Lagos. They told his staff, they threatened them that if any of you come closer, we are going to shoot you. And after the kidnapping, the abduction of Dele Farotimi, a lawyer from his office, the eyewitness gave this account when a news crew went into the place to check on what really happened.
Central visited Farotimi's office where staff members narrated their ordeal.
Mr. Farotimi's office is upstairs, but before you access his office, you will need to pass through the security door. So when they came in, they attempted to open the security door, but could not. They had to, maybe you want to see the second back door that they gain entrance to. Yes, you can see. You can see this is the back door. For security reasons, sometimes we don't lock it. So they quickly gain entrance through here and went to his office.
Wanted to came down from the steps, he now just entered from the backyard and hit me. I said I should not talk anything, this and that. He now point a gun on me. I was very scared. He now pushed me that I should tell him to direct to our real boss. That is why I just get there. As I just get there, he was slapping me, maltreating me that let my boss bring his safe so that if not, they would deal with me here. Then my boss was very scared that he don't want anything to hurt me. He now stand up and say, okay, let them take everything that they need.
They insisted that if we insist on knowing where they're taking him to, they were going to gun us down.
Ralph Nwoke, the managing partner of DF Legal and Farotimi's counsel, has spoken out about the petition and Farotimi's whereabouts. Legal actions are currently underway.
These guys came in and they took all our devices. I have no way of communicating. I don't have any devices.
Including your phone?
Yes, they took my phone. The guy threatened to shoot me. He threatened to shoot me and took my phone and the devices of all my staff. Every one of my staff members. Every staff member here, their devices were taken. Right? Even up to, and I would understand maybe their concern was that maybe somebody's recording or anything, but even the cleaner had what you call the balasa phone. I think that's what they call the button phone. They took it from her.
Well, what will you be doing now as a legal representative?
Yeah, so we're in court, like I said. We're in court. We filed a fundamental human right application before the Lagos State High Court.
Central.
But they now drove Dele Farotimi. They drove him from Lagos, 7 hours from Lagos to Ekiti. In Lagos State, defamation of character is not a criminal case, which means it is a civil case. Everything, according to Dele Farotimi himself, everything he wrote about Babalola is the truth. However, if he feels if he feels slandered, the right thing to do, right, was for him to sue Dele in Lagos, where he lives, he works, and then, where all this must have happened. But they knew then that Ekiti State is a place where defamation of character is a too strong sort of a law. It can be criminal, it can be civil. So, Babalola, being somebody who seems to be the richest man in Ekiti State, or richest lawyer in Ekiti State, right? He chose Ekiti, breached and bypassed all the normal legal protocol as a lawyer himself. Kidnapped somebody from another jurisdiction and then smuggled them to Ekiti. He could get away with it because it is Nigeria, where criminals are the ones in charge of running of that contraption. So they moved him to Ekiti. Upon getting to Ekiti, libel, defamation is also a bailable offense, which means normally the procedure of suing somebody for libel is that you will first have to write them and say, see, that thing you said about me, you need to retract it. If you don't retract what you just said about me in the next so days, I am going to initiate a legal case against you. Now, if that person now ignores your first letter of warning, you would have to write them again and say, this is your final, is a reminder that you only have 2 days left to. If you do not retract what you said or wrote about me, then I am going to initiate a case against you. And then you will now go to court. Your lawyer will write the court. And the court bailiff and the rest of them will now send the copy of your initiated case against that person, who will now have the right to respond to your case. Now, it is the court that will now determine if your case have any ground for defamation, libel, or what have you. So when the court says, okay, this is libelous, it is the court that will now kind of activate the case and say, okay, yeah, Mr. Man, you have a case to answer, a libel case here. Now, it is the court that will also determine, after the end of the whole argument, back and forth, if the whole case is libelous as well, if you are guilty of it or not. If you are guilty of you going to jail as a criminal, or if you are guilty of paying a fine as a civil, it will be the court to determine that, but not in this case. And mind you, this is supposed to be between 2 lawyers. According to Babalola, he said that the book published by Dele Farotimi has caused them so much stress. It has caused him so much stress. It is about a case in Lagos where Afe Babalola lost, a land battle. Okay, in fact, from the report, it's like the people who are fighting over land in Lagos, they took themselves to court. In that court, they lost in the High Court. They lost on appeal until they now hired Afe Babalola. Now, hiring Afe Babalola, the case now got to the Supreme Court. This was where Afe Babalola did, and his chamber, they did the usual abracadabra. And the Supreme Court decided to divide the case by saying, you know what? You can't have all of that land. In this case, the people who won at the High Court, who won at the Appeal Court, they got to Supreme Court. Once they hired Afe Babalola chamber, they got to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court divided the land and say, even though you won your cases, right? But the thing here is that you can't have all of that land. Now this is our judgment. Our judgment is that you are going to take this half and you're going to give half to these people. People will not get the land. Though. This was what prompted Dele Farotimi to speak on the, what do you call it? The bastardization of the judicial system in Nigeria. How the likes of Afe Babalola have compromised the judiciary and they have bought the judiciary. Now, this is what Afe Babalola sent to the Ekiti police command. Okay? The land was between Major Muritala Gbadamoshi Eletu and His Royal Highness Oba Tijani Akinloye and ORS blah, blah, blah. This was supposed to be the case. Okay? And like I said, these people, the owner of the land, hired, they are like, it's a group of cases like that, okay? So one of them, Dele Farotimi represented one of the parties. And the parties Dele Farotimi represented, they won their cases. They won their cases in the High Court, Appeal Court. Then, this Olori Buruku Baba, Afe Babalola, was not involved though, until they went on to go and hire him. When they hired him, then they played the abracadabra at the Supreme Court. When they played the abracadabra, the Supreme Court ruled in their favor. Not fully in their favor. Okay, it's like saying, hey, how much is the land? I mean, how much is the land, so to say, right? It's okay. It's 30 hectares of land, 30 hectares. Okay. Now, what happened is that you can't keep all the 30 hectares now. Come on. So our ruling is going to be that give a little this number, give this other party, give them this one, okay? And that's our judgment. And this is a total sort of, criminality in the judiciary that Dele Farotimi wrote about. That's why he said, I stand by my book publication. Anyone who feels offended or slighted or slandered should go to court. But they won't go to court. It's already late. Rather, they will show him that you are stepping on people's toes. There are some toes. According to Afe Babalola, he said, with every sense of modesty, I am one of the most distinguished legal luminaries of my generation, renowned both in Africa and globally for my profound contribution to the legal profession and the advancement of education. With over 6 decades of uninterrupted legal practice, my career is a testament to exceptional dedication, integrity, strategic advocacy, and visionary leadership. I am a highly accomplished advocate with some of the most celebrated cases in Nigerian legal history. This is how they have been buying cases, so they have been buying judgment too. Majority of them, if you look at their antecedent before social media, they have been overhyped criminals. Go and listen to them speak. Go and listen to some of these guys when they speak. You will be wondering, how did these ones become sand or what have you? Nigeria is such a corrupt place. And that is why people like this can have so much money and claim to be legal luminaries. How can you be legal luminaries in a lawless country? If it is not basically about the corrupt system where majority of them are cultists. Majority of them are cultists. So all these judges that are working with Wiriwike, they too, they will one day tell you that they are legal luminaries. They are luminaries who have contributed greatly to Nigerian judicial, what have you. They are the ones who are taking briefs from criminal politicians. These are the same Olori Buruku lawyers, older people in Nigeria, and sandpaper, sandusty, who have argued what is the difference between and. What is the meaning of and? The same Olori Buruku lawyers in Nigeria who defended a drug dealer, a drug baron. The same Olori Buruku lawyers in Nigeria who said, because Tifnumbu's Guinean passport expired, that means his citizenship has expired. Tifnumbu is a Guinean. The Nigerian law says you can't have citizenship of 2 countries and be president in Nigeria. You have to denounce one. Tifnumbu's Guinean passport is live. They said because it has expired. Therefore, Tifnumbu is no longer a Guinean. The same